A deserved 2-point home loss for the Timberwolves against the Orlando Magic, who moved to 26-23. However, they're much better than their record as they finally got all the way healthy for this game, and they've had plenty of injury issues to key players through this season and like the past 4, 5. I don't know. It's been funky, the health issues with that team. And I'll talk about the fourth quarter collapse that yet again hit the Timberwolves for a loss in this game. But first, I want to talk about another player that is deserving, because there are 3 All-Stars in this game. Paolo Banchero, first one of his career in his second season. Applause to him. Great job, Paulo. I thought he should have been one. He's been great this year. And I've sneakily really loved this Magic team, too. And then Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns for the Timberwolves. Those are the 2. And I was saying if we got 2 All-Stars this year, I thought it should be Ant for sure. But I actually thought that Rudy Gobert was probably the more deserving All-Star for a second one on our squad. Although Cat, I mean, he's shooting the ball very well, scoring well for us, adjusting more defensively as a 4. And he's had a great season, still has his flaws, which, I mean, I'm going to be talking about again in this video. But he does really challenge coaches to have to adjust and contend with him, because if you don't make Cat uncomfortable, he'll drop 60 on you. He'll just destroy your defenses. And it makes sense for the coaches voting that they'll be like, yeah, Cat's a problem. We have to pay attention to that guy. But all this is to say, Rudy Gobert deserves to be an All-Star as well. As do multiple players that didn't make it. 2 Kings players easily could have been on there. Like, no De'Aaron Fox is kind of the biggest snub in my eyes. But Gobert, my goodness, has he been so consistent, and dominant is always the word that comes to my mind with Gobert. I use it in probably, I don't know, 80% of these videos where I'm talking about him this season. And this was another fantastic game demonstrating that. He comes out with 11 points in the first 6 minutes of the game, I believe. He was making his presence felt immediately. Hits 10 of 11 free throws in this game. Was challenging everything at the rim. Some big-time blocks. One on Wendell Carter Jr. as he skies in for a dunk attempt that Gobert just deflects easily. And he was the best player on the floor tonight, Rudy Gobert. Absolutely destroying. And even to Banchero, who I said he's an All-Star this year, that dude's huge. He's like 6'10". I don't know how much he weighs. I ain't got that info on me, Bonk. But he kind of babied that dude. Like, he gets a block on one end, has Banchero on his back, just goes in for a nice finger roll, great confidence on it. And his offensive capabilities are like inching forward all season long, although there's certain things he's clearly not going to be able to do. And I just wanted to acknowledge how great Gobert was in this game and the consistency that we've seen this year, because I certainly did not expect it after watching all of those games last year where he was not this type of player. So Rudy was incredible in this game, and the main star to show up where our 2 All-Stars were not very good. And we'll talk about Anthony Edwards. He ends up turning his ankle in the first half with about 4 minutes left. Doesn't play the rest of that half. Thankfully comes back. That dude has just been like immune to serious injury. Knock on every wood and everything to hope that continues, but he toughs out everything. But he maybe should have tried to do a little bit less throughout this game. In the fourth quarter especially, he really took it upon himself to try to do everything. There was about 5 straight possessions of just Ant dribbling for the most part, and maybe a pass at the end of the shot clock in one of those, but mostly him dribbling out the clock, taking a tough shot. We only get 18 points in the fourth quarter because of offense like that, where it's just everybody standing around, one person doing everything, maybe Gobert coming up for a screen for the ball handler too, and that's the only action we were getting for minutes on end. And that's how your offense stagnates and how you become easy to guard, especially for an amazing defensive Magic team. And there's Jalen Suggs on the opposite side guarding Anthony Edwards. And Jalen Suggs is maybe the best perimeter defender in the NBA this year. He is everywhere with insane effort. And Ant is already on a tough ankle after turning it. It looked like he might have had some knee issues too. And he's still trying to kind of do everything on his own. And then following those 5 possessions of Ant trying to do everything, where he gets teed up at the end of those 2 after missing a shot on the 5th one, Then we get Karl Anthony Towns. He's like, oh, it's my turn. I got to force him to try to make a play. He turns it over. One of his 6 for this game, which is one of the primary things we always look at as the biggest detriments of Cat's game. And something, Nas has the exact same weaknesses as Cat too. Nas needs to be a little bit more controlled with the ball. His turnover issues are getting pretty pronounced, as well as his foul issues, which is the same as Cat. I feel like our expectations of Nas aren't to Cat's level yet, and we love him so much, so he doesn't get as much hate for that. But both of them need to make some strides in that area. Also in that fourth, we have Karl Anthony Towns trying to post up Jonathan Isaac. And I kind of think you should have 0 people attack Jonathan Isaac on the defensive end. That dude is so insane at defense. And he is so huge, so long. Like, he stands next to Jaden McDaniels and he looks so much taller. That's one reason I think Jaden needs to go back to the fro. It adds like an inch or 2 to his height, or what it seems like. Maybe contest some more jump shots with that extra hair height. It makes a difference. And all this to say, Jonathan Isaac's insane on that end. Got the best of Karl Anthony Towns many times. Cat had one great and one in the post against him. But us trying to do that multiple times, I did not agree with. And that dude is a monster. Even with all that dysfunction, blowing a 17-point lead, having an 8-point lead in the fourth quarter, the Timberwolves still have a shot to close it out at the end of this game. And they're only down by 2 points with a 4-second differential on the shot clock and game clock. And time's winding down. There's only 4 or 5 seconds left on the shot clock. Jaden fouls Boncaro on purpose while we are down 2 points. There's no reason why you do that. And it's just another one of Jaden's immature plays towards the end of games. He's accumulated about 3, I think, this season alone of basically game-losing plays or game-costing plays at the end of games where you're like, what are you possibly doing and thinking here? And the situational defense is where things have collapsed with him late game, and it's becoming far too regular and someone that it's already easy to question his maturity. I mean, like, you look at him injuring himself last game of the regular season last year too, punching a wall. And so I'm like Jaden's biggest supporter, and I'm so optimistic about him. But the mental stuff is driving me nuts lately, and his defensive effort has been a little more spotty this year, and he can disappear for full stretches of games too. Like, he had 7 first quarter points, doesn't score again until 2:15 left in the fourth, where he drains a corner triple. Dude can make clutch time jump shots. It's impressive. He usually steps up in those moments, and then we get to like the very end. It's like pick up a technical with 15 seconds left while you also foul someone and give them an and one. And then you have tonight where he fouls on purpose with 4 seconds left on the shot clock. And a couple nights ago, I know he fouled with, I think it was 1 second left on the shot clock and gave, I can't remember which team that was, free throws to go ahead at the end of the game. So some game-losing plays out of Jaden, and the fourth quarters have just been getting disastrous for us. That's really the reason for many of our recent losses. No teams are really getting huge leads on us or making it so it's not going to be a game in the fourth because our defense has been so insane. With almost every Timberwolves thing I bring up, you're like, you don't feel like this should be too hard of a fix. Like, we've got so much offensive talent. We just need to move bodies, move the ball, and that's all you got to do to get some good offense. Not that it's really that simple, but those are components that are key, and when those go away, that's when you see things get ugly, and that's what we've been seeing. So let's stop that. Okay? Next game is the Rockets on Sunday. Last one at home, then we've got, I think, 5 road games before All-Star break, and that will be good for this team, I think. I'm really hoping that this recent stretch of horrible fourth quarter basketball, losing to bad teams, playing spotty basketball is just the part of the season we're in, and that we can stabilize going forward and have better success in the postseason. All that being said, we're still in the 1 seed, even when it feels like the sky's falling just a little bit, so we'll be all right. See you on Sunday.